Hello and welcome. I'm really happy you're here today, and I genuinely mean that. If you decided to press play and listen to this episode, it probably means that English is already a part of your life in some way. Maybe it's something you need for work, maybe for school, maybe for travel, or maybe it's just something you want for yourself. Whatever the reason is, you're not listening to this by accident. You're here because somewhere inside you, you want to speak English more comfortably, more naturally, and with more confidence. Let me start by saying something that many people need to hear, but rarely do. Struggling with speaking English does not mean you are bad at English. It does not mean you are slow, untalented, or incapable. It usually means that you have not had the right kind of exposure and practice. Most people learn English in a very unbalanced way. They spend years reading, writing, studying grammar, memorizing vocabulary, and solving tests, but very little time actually hearing real spoken English and using their own voice. That's why so many learners say the same sentence again and again. I understand English, but I can't speak. This sentence is incredibly common, and it's also very misleading. Because if you understand English, your brain already has a foundation. What's missing is not knowledge. What's missing is connection. The connection between what you hear and what you say. The connection between your thoughts and your voice. And this connection can be built. Speaking is different from reading and writing. When you speak, you don't have time to think carefully. You don't have time to translate. You don't have time to search your memory for the perfect word or the perfect grammar rule. Speaking happens in real time. And because of that, speaking feels scary. Your heart beats faster, your mind feels empty, and suddenly you feel like all your English disappears. This experience can be frustrating, embarrassing, and sometimes even discouraging. Many people stop trying because of this feeling. They avoid speaking situations. They stay quiet in meetings. They give short answers. They pretend they didn't understand the question. Over time, this silence becomes a habit. And the longer you stay silent, the harder it feels to speak. Not because you can't, but because your confidence slowly disappears. This is where podcasts can completely change the experience of learning to speak English. Podcasts give you something that traditional learning methods often don't. Real, natural human English. When you listen to a podcast, you are not listening to perfect sentences designed for learners. You are listening to a real person thinking, explaining, reacting, and expressing ideas. You hear pauses, hesitations, emotions, emphasis, and rhythm. This kind of listening trains your brain in a very different way. Your brain is incredibly good at recognizing patterns, especially when those patterns are repeated naturally. When you listen to podcasts regularly, your brain starts noticing how English really works. You begin to feel which phrases sound natural and which ones don't. You start recognizing common expressions without consciously memorizing them. You slowly develop an instinct for the language. At first, this process is quiet. You might not feel like you're learning anything. You might feel like you're just listening without understanding much, and that's okay. This stage is necessary. Think of it like learning music. Before you can play an instrument, you need to listen to music. A lot. Your ears need time to adjust. Language works the same way. One of the biggest advantages of podcasts is that they allow you to learn without pressure. There is no teacher waiting for an answer. No classmates listening. No grades, no time limit. You can listen at your own pace, in your own space. You can pause, rewind, repeat, or just listen passively when you're tired. This freedom makes learning feel safer, and when learning feels safe, progress becomes possible. However, if your main goal is to improve speaking, listening alone is not enough. Listening prepares your brain, but speaking trains your voice. The key is to connect the two. And you can do that even if you are completely alone. One very effective way to use podcasts for speaking improvement is simply repeating what you hear. You don't need to repeat everything. Even one sentence is enough. You hear a sentence, you pause, and you say it out loud. You try to copy not just the words, but the rhythm and tone. At first, this may feel uncomfortable. You might feel slow or awkward. That's normal. You are training muscles that are not used to moving in this way. Another powerful practice is speaking after listening. You listen to a few minutes of a podcast, then you stop and explain what you heard in your own words. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need advanced vocabulary. Simple sentences are fine. What matters is that you are using your voice to express meaning. This builds confidence and fluency over time. Many learners worry a lot about making mistakes. They are afraid of wrong grammar, wrong pronunciation, or sounding strange. This fear is understandable, but it is also one of the biggest obstacles to speaking. The truth is, mistakes are not a problem. Silence is. Every mistake you make is a sign that you are trying. And trying is the only way to improve. Podcasts help reduce this fear because they show you real spoken English, not idealized English. You hear that even fluent speakers don't sound perfect all the time. They repeat themselves. They change direction mid-sentence. They search for words. When you hear this, you realize that communication is flexible. It doesn't need to be flawless to be effective. Pronunciation is another area where podcasts are extremely useful. Many learners focus too much on individual sounds and not enough on flow. But in real English, words are connected. Sounds change depending on context. Stress and intonation carry meaning. When you listen to podcasts regularly, your ears become sensitive to these details. And when your ears improve, your pronunciation follows. Another important benefit of podcasts is that they teach you phrases instead of isolated words. Native speakers don't build sentences one word at a time. They use ready-made chunks. When you hear these chunks again and again, they become familiar. And familiarity leads to automatic use. One day, you'll notice that a phrase comes out of your mouth without effort. That's a sign of real progress. There will be moments when you feel stuck. Days when you feel like you're not improving. This is a normal part of the process. Language learning is not linear. Sometimes progress happens quietly in the background. You may not notice changes until one day you suddenly understand more, or speak more easily, or feel less nervous. Trust that the process is working even when it feels slow. Consistency matters more than intensity. You don't need to listen for hours every day. Even 10 or 15 minutes done regularly can make a big difference. The key is to stay connected to the language. Podcasts make this easier because they fit into real life. They don't require special preparation or energy. You just press play. Over time, something very important happens. English starts to feel less foreign. The sounds become familiar. The rhythm becomes normal. You stop translating everything in your head. Instead, English starts appearing directly in your thoughts. This is not magic. It's exposure. Your brain is simply responding to what it hears regularly. Another powerful effect of podcasts is emotional connection. When you listen to someone speak, you feel like you're part of a conversation. Even though you're not responding out loud all the time, your brain is engaged. This feeling of connection makes learning more meaningful and less mechanical. And meaningful learning lasts longer. If you've ever felt shy about speaking English, podcasts can be a gentle bridge. They allow you to get used to spoken English without being in the spotlight. You can build confidence privately at your own speed. And when you eventually speak with others, you'll feel more prepared even if you're still nervous. Let me be very clear about something. Fluency does not mean speaking fast. Fluency means speaking without fear. It means being able to express your ideas, even with simple language. Podcasts help you develop this ability because they show you that communication is about meaning, not perfection. You don't need to wait until you feel ready to speak. Readiness comes from action, not before it. Start with listening, then repeat, then speak a little, then a little more. Step by step, your confidence will grow. If you've tried other methods before and felt disappointed, that doesn't mean you failed. It just means those methods didn't match the way speaking skills are built. Podcasts work because they respect how the brain actually learns language through exposure, repetition, and context. Be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Learning a language is not a race. Everyone moves at a different pace. What matters is that you keep moving. Even small steps count. As we slowly come to the end of this episode, I want you to remember one simple idea. You don't need perfect English to start speaking. You need speaking to improve your English. Podcasts are not just something you listen to. They are something you can actively use to change the way you speak and feel about English. If this episode helped you even a little, please take a moment to like it. It really supports this channel and helps other learners find content like this. If you want to continue this journey together, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And I would truly love to hear from you, so leave a comment and tell me about your English learning experience, your challenges, or your small victories. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.